Let me turn the volume up on this.
I am so excited that today we're gonna see a total eclipse.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yes, very much so. Very excited for that.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not cloudy.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, it looks like it's okay. It looks like. Oh wait. Oh, you know what I need to do? Rookie mistake. Where am I?
You said it.
Which one is it? Here we go. That shouldn't even be there. Boom. Okay. Now let's get back to this and the chat.
Hello, chat room.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Can you hear us? Okay. Or do we need to adjust our mics?
Micah, Nev, Liz, talk to us.
Okay. Now, 25, 30 seconds later, they'll answer.
Why, hello there.
Aha. Aha. Morning, Andy, Tony, and Liz.
Okay.
I'm over-modulating. Oh, sorry, Nev.
Who is?
You're not the first person to tell me that.
Situation normal. Okay, hang on.
Let me move it slightly further away from me.
Well, I can adjust the gain on his. Is he serious or is he just joking around? Let me bump up the volume on the iPad, and then let me look at the bus.
It looks like a plane safety podcast with 2 American guests.
Yes, know it.
Okay.
Micah says
there we
the
go.
levels are okay.
Okay, thank you, Micah.
Nev's too picky.
So what we're gonna do, we really haven't talked about it, but we're here.
It's the normal show prep for the APG.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we really don't know what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing the last few days, and it's kind of just a free for all. And then we're going to maybe, I don't know if you guys are up to it, maybe take a look at some of the feedback that we have and answer some of that. So, but we're not going to do a 3-hour show. Don't worry, we don't have time for that.
No, the wives and kids will not appreciate that.
So it'll be a short show, hopefully.
Well, if you throw them in the lake, I mean, we could easily do a 6-hour show. The kids won't get out of the lake for a while.
True. Okay, and I haven't even looked to see what feedback might be good to do. So we'll just go through there and just start looking at stuff.
Now, how is it that Steph has time to be in the chat room, but she can't join us?
I don't know.
Steph.
Oh, so she has, there's your answer right there.
Fair enough.
Okay, let's do a sound check on this.
Flight 209, are you clear for takeoff? Roger.
We're not going to do, we don't need to do individual music bumper intros for you guys because that's okay, what do you want?
I'll take the fart.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And how Mike is this one?
It's sad, so sad.
Just kidding. How about, sometimes you've been known to ramble. Yep. We can do this one for, hey, stop. We could do this one for Pip.
I'm not a smart man.
I think that works. With the fart on the end of it.
Yeah, okay. Or
gonads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
Thank you, Paul Harvey.
Okay, let's see. All right, shall we just start?
Go for it.
All right, so let's just double check, make sure that this is recording still. Looks like it is.
Absolutely.
Okay. Why does it keep doing that every time I go back here? Okay. All right. What are we going to call this? What was the last one? 265. So we're going to call this 265.5. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 2. No, I don't say that. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 265.5.
Flight 209, are you clear for takeoff? Roger.
2. Thank you. Did I say 285.5? What did I say?
You were 20 off, 265.
Oh, shoot. All right. We can fix that.
I didn't think that sounded right.
265. What am I thinking? Staff. Okay. Control room. Where's the control room? They should have given me that info.
Bad. They did.
Here she
20
comes.
seconds late.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 285.5. Take 5. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 285.5.
Flight 209, are you clear for takeoff?
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit. What do we got now?
It's Nev. He says Mike's mic isn't working.
Okay. Hang on.
Hey.
Your hat.
Micah says the same.
Ah, okay. So let's look at this and the sends. Oh, I see why. Good catch, guys. So now he is on the aux-send bus. Now, Mike, say something.
Say something.
It's loud.
Yes.
I've been always told I'm loud, especially people at work. You're like, you're too loud.
Too loud. Too
Why,
loud.
Why are you so loud? It's
All
a
right.
phone. You don't have to yell at them.
So now we're going to see whether or not.
Is that me?
Mhm.
Nev says okay now. Thank you, Nev. But it's on silent.
No, it's not.
It is. I got it turned down. Look, mute.
Yeah, but that's your volume there. Now you're on. Now your ringer's off.
Yeah, because the notifications still come through.
Okay.
There you go. Good now, all 3. Thanks, Tom. Tom Wachowski, private jet pilot.
Oh, nice.
Yes, the private jet podcast. Hey, I was, I think I might be in Flint next month, Tom. So
I hear the water's good there.
it is delicious. Every time I go there, I drink as much tap water as possible. They had a lead poisoning thing
Makes sense.
going on there. And the people at the hotel tell us, though, everything's okay.
Uh-huh.
And then
Sure.
they twitch a little bit when they say it. Everything's okay. All right. So we hear all 3 mics now. Take 6. Yes, Larry. Thank you very much.
We've got the thumbs up from Nev.
Okay. Let me do this. This will be easier. Okay, here we go. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 285.5.
Flight 209, are you clear for takeoff?
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Lake Keowee, South Carolina, a beautiful lake house here. We'll call it the Lake House Studios. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about what we're doing here. And we're going to talk about a little bit of feedback, maybe. And that's pretty much it. It's just kind of a free-for-all. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in their upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. Flight 285.5 is ready for pushback. Hello and welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy show. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting, as I said, from this beautiful lake house on Lake Keowee, South Carolina. And we're here, well, you probably already know this because if you follow us on social media, you know that there was this total eclipse yesterday. And we were here to witness that. Oh, I say we. I should introduce. How rude of me. Let me introduce the other co-hosts with me here. What did we say we're going to use for Pep?
I'm not a smart man.
We have the host of the spectacularly awesome podcast, Plane Safety Podcast, Pip.
Thank you very much, guys. Great to be here. Thank you so much. And what an awesome couple of days we've had. and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yes, we will. And also joining us from here, we have the rambling man himself, host of the equally spectacular podcast, Flying and Life. The host of that, Dispatcher Mike.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. It truly has been a great couple of days.
Yes, it has. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're here for the total eclipse, which occurred yesterday, and mainly due to your inspiration and your suggestion that we get together and find a place on the line of totality. And so, many thanks to Pip for coming up with this great idea, and Mike for coordinating the whole thing. And he's just done an awesome job finding this place. And I'm going to let them talk now. You don't want to hear from me. So
yeah, for me, I got involved back in January when Steph added me into a Twitter chat with Pip and her, and he was just looking for places where he can maybe stay and watch the eclipse. And then I had the idea of, well, why don't we rent a house somewhere and all get together? And we kind of did that. And we really lucked out on the house. We finally, when we got a total number of people, we had to get a house that sleeps 15 because there's 15 of us here between us, our families, and Matt. So we pretty much filled up the whole house with that. And we really lucked out. We thought we were going to be, the house said it was in Seneca, and Seneca was still in path of totality. But when we finally got the final address of where exactly the house was, we're right on the center line. I mean, the house completely isn't on the center line. It's just 100 meters into the water. But I mean, you can't get any closer.
Yeah, we really lucked out there. What a great location. And for me, this whole thing started a couple of years ago, in fact, because I knew this eclipse was happening. I thought, we've got to be there for that. So we combined it with a trip to Disney. We spent the last 2 weeks at Disney World, Florida, and had just a fantastic time. You've been there. Disney's just something else. And then it's just been topped off. The cherry on the cake, the icing on the biscuit, or any other metaphor, to come up here for a couple of days with these guys. And this house is fantastic. You probably can't see, but there's a beautiful lake out behind us. And the water is outrageously warm. Yeah, I didn't think it was possible to get water that warm in a lake.
It's hot.
I have a theory. I think the sun is only partly responsible for that. I think it's that nuclear power station on the other side of the lake.
Yeah,
and the radiation it's pumping out is heating up the water.
It's definitely the nuclear reactor that's heating up the water.
Can you see it now?
No.
No.
Still not.
It's the brightness, the light.
I don't see it. But trust us, it's out there and it's gorgeous. There's plenty of photos on Twitter, anyhow. So it's been great. The kids have been in the water. Not just us, of course. Steph has been here. She left yesterday evening. Matt MBF and his wife and kids have been here as well. They left. They're on their way back right now. In fact, to
they should be just getting
Melbourne.
Airborne out of Asheville on the way back to Melbourne. So they'll be there, and somewhere about the next 2 weeks they'll get home.
They've got a horrible journey. They're going Charlotte, Chicago, LA, Sydney, or direct to Melbourne.
Direct to Melbourne. It's Asheville, Chicago, LA, Melbourne.
Big trip. Yeah, and my gang, we're heading back a little later this afternoon, driving back to Atlanta, and BA flight back home, arriving tomorrow. But we're going to enjoy these last few hours, kick out this little episode here with Jeff, and then go and get in the lake ourselves.
Again, because you never have too much swimming.
We've been spending our lives here in the water, which, as you mentioned, is just awesome.
Yeah, and of course there was the smaller matter of the eclipse yesterday.
Yeah,
that thing.
That thing that when it all went dark and you all went, what's going on?
Just so everybody is aware, the reason why we're doing this is it's just an extra episode. It's not our normal weekly episode. But I thought, when we have 3 or more podcasters together in one dwelling, that I think it's pretty much the rule that you have to get together. And
it's a compulsion.
It is.
Fight it.
And we owe it to you, the fans of these aviation podcasts, to be here for you. That's what we're here for.
We're here for you.
Yes. So tell us, yesterday, how did the day start?
My youngest child screamed and woke me up. That's how the day started for me.
Yeah, I think mine started with pancakes. Thank you very much to Naomi. Some delicious pancakes. No, you made the pancakes.
I made the pancakes.
Sorry.
Please.
Taking the credit. Some very nice pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
What did we do? I think we went straight into the lake.
Pancakes, breakfast. We inflated all the my hot air inflated most of, along with Steph's hot air, inflated most of the inflatables for us to sit on. And then it was really just sitting around. You went out to the store to get some stuff for lunch. I taught a little lesson with the kids about eclipses and made a couple of Eclipse viewers, and we got all the glasses ready. So we didn't burn our retinas or anything like that. So that's pretty much the day started. And then it was really just kind of sitting around and swimming until 108.
108 was the start. Oh, hello. Was the the start of the partial eclipse. So I think we were almost there on time. We saw the very first slither, the little chunk of the sun being eaten away by the dark moon as it slowly slides across the sky. And the kids, Mike had made some very nice worksheets for the kids to fill out at various intervals, half-hour intervals or 15 minutes, whatever it was, to draw what they were seeing through the glasses and the
in the boxes,
the box thing that you made. It was pretty cool. And then it was just kind of hanging around and waiting. At one point, I was pulling my hair out. A little Q cloud, drifted across and parked itself right in front of the sun.
Yeah,
so I was shouting, "I'm like, Mike, do something! Call somebody!"
It was there for 5 minutes, and he was literally just running around. We almost had to take him and put him in a straitjacket and like calm down. It's one cloud. It's moving away, and that was the only time the sun was obscured. It was probably about halfway to totality.
Yeah.
And other than that, it was just a gorgeous, amazing day.
Yeah, and then so we all gathered down to the docks. I guess it's what about 2:15 p.m. And you could really start to notice then the what's going on with the sun and the moon. It was gradually getting darker. A really eerie, a very strange darkness, isn't it? It's not. Yeah, it's not quite like dusk. It's got a funny.
You know what it reminded me of? You ever seen the movies where they try to simulate that they're doing something at night, but it's daytime, and they put some kind of a filter on the camera,
right,
to make it look like it's night? That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it was great. And then as totality approached, we started to hear the bugs, the crickets.
Yeah, the cicadas, the 17-year cicadas are out this year in the south.
Yay!
These are literally bugs that their whole sole purpose in life is to produce offspring, and then it takes 17 years for the offspring to come out, and that's literally all they do. So
I didn't know that.
Literally the last couple of seconds, it's almost like someone turned on a switch for the bugs, and the totality happened. They were all screaming and making their noises like they normally do, and the second that it got light again, boom, just off.
They stopped. Yeah. And the temperature, it dropped very, very noticeably. And Jeff and Steph were out on the lake in their floatable things. And you said it actually got pretty chilly.
Yeah, it got actually very cold out there because we were wet and just floating along the surface of the lake. It was almost eerily cold.
Yeah, and then totality happened. The lake, there was quite a few boats out there. A lot of other people had come down to see it, and there was a big cheer and some whooping and a hollering as totality happened. And well, what did you think of totality?
It was absolutely amazing. I mean, we watched one on NASA last year. Just on the laptop, and you see it, and then you see it in real life, and you're like, holy cow, this is actually happening. I'm actually watching this, and this is just incredibly beautiful. I mean, it's so one of those high natural beauty things. I said it was the 5th most beautiful thing I watched because I watched 4 of my kids get born, so that obviously had to be done first.
You didn't mean it.
Yeah, smart man.
Yeah, but no, it was gorgeous. It was incredibly natural thing that just see and witness, and watching the corona and just glisten there, and you just all of a sudden you can just turn it off or take off your glasses so you don't need them anymore, because you've had your glasses on still, you couldn't see anything because there's no light. There's no light coming out.
Yeah. And you said it is. It blows me away. Just that you get this glimpse of the natural world, the mechanics of the universe and how it all works. It's just it's such a rare event to see.
I was watching the corona and the highlight.
Yeah,
and the hop, drop, and roll, and several other varieties.
We had to yell out to him, and they're like, "Jeff, turn around!" Like,
no, but I think it was cool. I mean, because the lake here, right on the center line, the number of boats that came to just kind of dock and stop right on the center line, drop anchor, was pretty amazing. Some of them right for the start of the eclipse, but when it came to the approach of totality, there was I would almost say 50 to 100 boats just sitting
from what we could see.
Just here in the lake, and then there was one obviously one seaplane, because we saw a seaplane take off
Yeah. Yeah, there was a seaplane. That was cool. But I guess all those people, they'd probably listen to a podcast perhaps, and some guy preaching at them saying, you got to be on the center line. You got to be on the center line of the totality. And I guess they got the message. But you can see that if you were not in the line of totality, what a totally different experience it would be. You just wouldn't get
Right.
the disk around the sun and the ring of fire, because you saw just as the moon moved away, just the tiniest microsecond of arc, you get this bright light.
Yeah, and that's probably what
totally
almost totality would look like, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Never lose that bright.
Exactly. So even 99.5%, it wouldn't be the same.
Would,
to all you people who didn't heed the message and you settled for a 99% eclipse, losers. We told you. We told you.
Good news is 2019 isn't too far away. You can fix your mistakes. You're just going to have to travel to the other hemisphere and see it.
And then, and so who knows where we'll be in 2019, where we'll be in 2024. I guess that's the next one here in North America, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But for me, it was just perfect. We could not have worked out better.
No, and
the whole trip, the whole 2 weeks.
I mean, I even think Pip in the middle of totality. I'm like, dude, this was because of you. I got to see this, so thank you.
Well, as much as I'd like to take credit for putting the sun and the moon in that particular place.
Oh, that wasn't you.
That wasn't you, actually.
That wasn't you.
Was misunderstood.
Oh,
yeah. Well, same thing for me. If I hadn't listened to your podcast and your passion and excitement about the total eclipse, I probably would have been just, walking out the front door of my house in Roswell, Georgia, and taking a look and seeing what was going on, and wouldn't have been as impressive as what we witnessed here. So
yeah, and it's great, and I'm so pleased all the kids got to see it as well. They'll remember it forever, I think.
Yeah,
I even pointed out to Maria. I mean, I know she won't remember it, but she was kind of intrigued, like, oh,
but you got pictures, and she'll see, and she'll be able to maybe one day tell her kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, don't worry. When her kids are around, we'll make sure we drag them to an eclipse against their mother's will.
What I'll do is for the cover photo for this episode, I'll put that wonderful group photo that Pilot Pip shot out in the back, and you can see the lake in the background and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned before, it was a much larger group. Today it's starting to dwindle a bit. Matt and Nicola and their two beautiful little girls, Evie and Charlie, were here all the way from Australia. They were here in the States for some other stuff as well, but just happened to work out that they were here during the total eclipse, and it was great seeing them. And also Dr. Steph, but she had to do something called something today. What is it called?
Because of the W.
It's a 4-letter word.
Work.
Yeah.
So she had to leave last night. But I really am glad that she was able to come, because she lives on a lake, at a lake house. That's her permanent residence. And she has all the gear, all the floaties, and including something that is called the Inflate-A-Bull, B-U-L-L. Tell us about that. You guys had some fun yesterday, late afternoon.
Well, I don't know if we had fun, because we couldn't get on the damn thing.
We couldn't get on because
there's something weird about the center of gravity here in this portion of the U.S.
I honestly positively think that we couldn't get on it because our mass was too large, and it became too inflated for us to balance on it. I mean the skinny people like the kids and Steph. I mean, Steph literally just jumped right on the bull, and we could barely knock her off. But
so what it was is this big inflatable thing. It's got like a big inflatable ring, probably with a diameter of, I don't know, 6 feet or so.
Yeah.
With a big inflatable bull.
Yeah.
In the middle of it. And you jump on it, and you hold onto it with one hand, and everyone else grabs it and shakes it and tries and knocks you off. But like I say, Mike and I, we lasted not long, less than a second. I would suggest
0 seconds for me.
Yeah, but Steph was pretty. Yeah, Steph was very good. And it turns out, as well as being a skydiving pro and Miss World 2017, she's also officially the champion inflatable
bull rider
and something of a diving expert as well.
Yes,
she gave us a little display of her diving expertise.
Yes,
and I think the pineapple was particularly impressive.
I think it was a watermelon.
Oh, the watermelon. The watermelon dive. That was good stuff. I don't think we could top that.
No, we couldn't.
Yeah, it was a great time. Great food here. Mike and his lovely wife have been responsible for a lot of it. Nicola, the first day,
Nicola, first day had very delicious meat sauce with some pasta. Thought it an easy meal to start. Someone made a butt.
Well, yeah, I was going to say we cannot pass over Jeff's gorgeous butt.
Thank you.
It really was something.
You really had to be here to see it. No, they're talking about some pork barbecue that I smoked.
Oh, I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't? Oh,
No.
okay. I'm sorry. Well, in addition to my spectacular bet, I also made some pork barbecue. Smoked some.
Podcast invasion.
She's kind of nervous over there. My daughter is off to the side, looking at me, kind of wanting to come.
Here she comes, Superman style.
Wait,
well, come on, Mom. Naomi, bring her over. She's nervous.
There we go.
Hey, my wife's on a podcast. Hello, hey.
There's Naomi and
Maria Sophia.
She's great fun. She's so smiley.
Hi. She's a huge aviation geek too, man. You see an airplane in the sky, and she just stops and tries to find it. And she sees things that we can't see.
Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Very nice.
Anyway, so that's really what the whole last few days has been. Just a lot of great food, a lot of great company with the families, young families. This is something that I'm not used to. I have not had young kids around in quite some time.
Yeah, poor Jeff went outside this morning for a cup of coffee and nice and quiet. And we're sitting there finishing cooking breakfast and realize, oh, all 4 children are outside on the screen porch with Jeff.
And we said, should we rescue him?
And we said, no.
No. Let him suffer.
Yeah. And then he came back and he goes, well, it was quiet outside.
No, it was plenty fun. Plenty fun. So what are your plans from here on out? Pip, you've been here for a little over 2 weeks.
Yeah, a little over 2 weeks. So as I say, we fly home later tonight. We got to drive across to Atlanta. Typically, women. Karen Mrs. Pip has chosen today to go shopping. So we have to leave a couple of hours earlier than I would have liked to have done. So we need to find somewhere to stop and shop. It's not like we've not had time the last 2 weeks to go shopping.
Yes, please stimulate our economy a little bit more. Thank you.
I'm happy to. Get home, and then, believe it or not, tomorrow I'm in the sim for 4 days. So straight back into the thick of it.
Have you studied?
So hard?
Absolutely. Yeah. Very hard.
Okay.
Well, I got a 9-hour plane journey tonight.
There you go.
To catch up.
Time to cram.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also go back to that 4-letter word tomorrow. I'm going to be here tonight. Get everything all closed up here at the lake house. Spend some more relaxing time, and then I go back to work back in the thick of it tomorrow night to sit there and manage airplanes and move people and airplanes around like little pawns on a little board.
Is that all we are to you?
Pilots and flight attendants, you are, I say this very jokingly, you are pawns in my little operational game. we can move some pilots and some flight attendants around pretty quickly.
Okay.
And what about you, Jeff? You've got some time off still?
Yeah, I'm technically on vacation this week, and that ends on Saturday, but I'm not scheduled to do anything until next month, beginning of next month, but I'll probably try to fly something next week when I'm off vacation toward the end of at the end of this monthly bid period. So we'll see. So I think we're all caught up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, we're not going to do the coffee thing because I didn't prepare that, and this is not a regular show anyway. So we although, do you want to just sing the coffee fun? We can do that. I mean, I think that would be fun. Okay. So
I don't sing.
Okay. Well, do something that resembles it. How about? Okay, here we go. The karaoke version.
You don't know the words.
It doesn't matter. Just make them up.
Okay.
That's what I do.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the Java who loves tea. Something tea and something else.
I love Michael. I love Pip. I think we're going.
But which one's of him?
I was trying to think of something that would rhyme with dip or pip. Dip. Take a dip. All right. That's enough. those poor people that are listening to this. We apologize. Of onion and a raw one. Wait a percolator. I love coffee. I love tea. We love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Okay, that's enough.
Well, that probably worked out better than you thought.
Yes. No. It must have sounded horrible to the people in the house because they couldn't hear the music.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
They're going, what are they doing?
What are they
When Naomi's come to the door, she's like, shush. What is that?
What is that racket? And that's his cat's howling.
Oh,
Oh, well, that was fun.
good times.
There's Dr. Bo Abrahamson in Denmark. Oh, yeah, he missed the whole eclipse. Oh, well. Mila says hello.
Hi, Mila.
She has a 2-hour sim session in about an hour, so she can't be with us. But
Of course,
that's
Mila doing her 7.37
yeah.
rating. Hope it's going well, Mila.
yeah.
Hope you're working hard. I hope we get some discounts when you start. Friends and family discount.
Well, you don't need any discounts on that carrier, right? I mean, it's already
I
dirt
guess so.
cheap, right? Okay. So what do you think? You want to like knock out a little bit of feedback and then
Yeah, why
we'll
Why not?
okay.
Pick some easy ones for us.
Okay, let's see here. We'll hit this thing, feedback.
Captain, incoming message.
I'm just going to start at the stop of the stop of the stack.
Stop at the tart.
The top of the stack. This is from Larry, the geezer, or excuse me, the APG geezer or AP geezer. Anyway, he's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sorry, Larry, I keep messing that up. It says, seems like it was a few years ago this issue came up and quickly died, but here we go, green again. So, I didn't do any prep work here, so I'll have to press that link and see what it is that he is referring to. Oh, the
electric taxi
taxi system that we hear about every, I don't know, what, 6 months to a year?
Absolutely, it's going to save tons of money.
Yeah, why don't we see it everywhere?
Because another thing that's on the airplane that's going to break, and more weight, and just logistics. I mean, it's easier just to taxi out on an engine.
Can I tell you, I've seen it before for light aircraft. I've seen it in Zurich. They have a little remote control thing like that little robot in Star Wars. That goes, you know the one?
Is it controlled by somebody?
Yeah, they got like a remote control, but
so
it wouldn't be too hard, I'm sure, to program some sort of GPS track for it to follow, and they they move it around the apron.
So what is if you're using a person to drive a tug and tow the airplane, or you're using a person to use the remote control thing to control the thing that's pulling it, I don't see. You're saying that maybe the future.
I guess it's the fuel saving thing and the engine life, because this was an electric.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's.
Why not just use an electric tug with a person on it with a steering wheel?
Pass. I don't have a good answer for that.
I don't know. It just seems like I'm not sure that this is something that's going to be. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll see a lot of this in the future. I mean, they had talked about like towing airplanes to the end of the runway.
Yeah.
And then starting up and then taking off to save fuel and all that kind of stuff. But that just seems like a logistic nightmare as well. And also, you have to warm up the engines.
Well, that's it. I mean, what do you do whilst you're sitting there being tugged out on this thing? You can't do any checks really.
Mm-hmm.
Or not many. You can't check any of your systems. So it just would be a real rush when you get to the end of the runway to get engines running, get all your checks done, and
right.
Get everything set.
I mean, even Nick said that in a couple episodes ago when he got the shortcut at that major Long Island airport.
Yes,
when he got the shortcut, he
named after a president.
Yeah,
that was assassinated.
He was it was one of those things where he's like, "Holy cow, we got to hurry up and get this started," because it's a 5-minute warm up time on the 330. I think it's the same on the around the 88.
Pretty much standard now at all the Acme jets. 5 minutes, unless it's not the first flight of the day. We just need 2 on my jet.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's a lot of cool metal that you're trying to then you can't just go from cold to 900 some EGT in quickly. That all those compressor vanes and all that have to warm up.
I think the most important and significant thing about this electric green taxiing system, all these ways to save energy, power. It's all about the opportunity for us to play this.
We're going green. We're going green. We're gonna take care of the earth. We're going green.
All right. Thank you, Larry. That was really the whole point of him sending that in, I think. And we thank you for that.
We can't hear that song enough.
You can't. You want me to play it again?
No,
okay.
Really.
I guess you can hear it enough. Let's see. That we want to skip. Here's an interesting one. Adam, you want me to make that a little bit larger so we can actually read it?
Because I'm struggling.
Okay.
You both got glasses
There
on.
we go. Yep.
You want to borrow them?
I'm going to...
Oh, that doesn't help.
Okay, this is from Adam Reese. He said, "Hey again, APG crew. Thanks for reading my feedback. I wanted to tell a little story of one of my ELT searches a couple of weeks ago. Now, I believe Adam, he's out in the Bay Area, and he works for law enforcement, I think. I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, so I wanted to tell you a little story of one of my ELT searches a couple of weeks ago. I researched a search and rescue, or I received a search and rescue call for an ELT that was going off at what I was presumed going to be a ramp check at a local GA airport. The call came in about 7 p.m. and unfortunately our aircraft was in maintenance, so we couldn't fly, but I responded as a member of a ground team. We eventually got an airplane up from another squadron about the same time. We got to the local GA airport, but quickly discovered the ELT wasn't on the airport, and we weren't picking up any signals on our direction finding equipment. Then the air crew radioed back to us that it was off airport in a wooded area, and they reported seeing smoke. We got to the area about 15 minutes later and thankfully discovered it was a neighborhood and the smoke was from someone's burn pile. After triangulating on the signal, I discovered it was coming from a house. So at 10:30 at night, we started knocking on the front door, and as soon as I introduced myself and what I was doing there, he was quick to tell me he had thrown out his old ELT. So after a couple of minutes of dumpster diving, we found the ELT and got it deactivated. The G switch, I guess the G-force activation switch, had triggered and activated the beacon. When I removed the battery, I noticed that the battery expired in November of 1998. Wow. And that's pretty amazing. He said, check out the attached picture. I think I included it here. Yep, there it is. Proof. 1998, manufactured in Canada, I guess, or Transport Canada approved. I'm not sure where it was made. Probably China. I wanted to use this story as a PSA for two reasons. Someone will always come looking for you, especially when you really need it. That's good to know.
Yep.
And please remove your battery from your ELT before you throw it away, no matter how old it is.
That's kind of funny. Like, that's a 1998 battery. As an owner, I'm required to change that every 2 years. We have to change the ELT battery. And our ELT battery for our airplane is literally, it's like 4 AA batteries that they've epoxied together is pretty much all it is.
Really?
And it kind of looks like that. It's got the little wires that come out and plug in. But like when you open up and you're like, really? This is 4 AA batteries. Why can't we just use 4 energizers and just say replace them every 2 years?
You think they'd be okay for 2 years?
Yeah, because your ELT usually doesn't go off.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. Not. Although I hear it all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I suspect the majority of ELT activations are erroneous.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unusual to hear it on guard on 21.5.
That is true.
Yeah, it was certainly at work. We've had the occasional ones go off for no good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And, you get a call at 3 a.m. in the hotel from the company saying, hey, your ELT is going off. Can you go back to the airport and disconnect the battery?
You have the wrong number.
Yeah. No.
Sorry, what?
We can, but we're not.
Yeah, I set my ELT off on my commercial check ride. Oops.
Oh. A hard landing?
Yeah, it's kind of like a private strip, a little dip in the runway, and it was just the point where we were starting to lose, and the runway went out and just smashed it, and then ELT started going off, and I'm like, oh, so that's when an ELT sounds like.
The G switch was activated.
Yeah, and it was, and after that, for the rest of the check ride, I'm like, well, I failed this. Let's see how this goes. And we get down at the last part. She goes, well, good job. Let's go sign your certificate. I'm like, okay.
Great. Talking of, just going off on a tangent here, talking of smashing them in, I, as you know, took a 172, rented a 172 the other week for the first time in a long, long time in a light aircraft. And I learned a couple of things. One is that flying over here, GA, is so simple and so much fun, and ATC are so helpful. And the second thing I learned is that
You being sarcastic?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I really am not. It was great. You know, we took off from Orlando Executive North, going to, I keep calling it Titsville, but I think it's called Titusville.
Titusville.
Yes, Titusville.
Not Titsville, sorry.
How
So we went to,
inappropriate.
sorry, family show. We went across to see the space.
That was wrong.
That's not the right one.
No, but I think it might actually work out a little bit later. There we go. There's the censor tone.
Okay. You have to do it again if I say Titsville one more time.
You gotta give me more warning. Okay, say, what was the name of the airport you went to?
Titsville. Very good. We went across to see the SpaceX rocket launch from Canaveral, Isaac and I, my 7-year-old, and we had a great time. But yeah, the other thing I learned was that I cannot land a Cessna 172 for love nor money. I'm surprised that thing's flyable still. We did, I had to do an FAA biannual check ride, which is very good. And we went off and did some touch and goes. I think maybe of the 7 or 8 that we did, I didn't get one of them. And we bounced this way, we were this way, and the instructor was going, whoa, whoa.
Well,
I was going, I'm going to get this. Just give me a chance.
But you can always.
That's why I told this story, so you can press that. Thank you.
Coming down.
Don't wait until you're sideways, baby, sliding on the ground. You can always
go around.
I love that song.
Me too.
Anyway, but that was great fun. It was very nice to go flying in a 172.
Yeah, those little airplanes, you literally have to fly it all the way to the runway. And then
well, the first one, I pulled the power at like 30 feet, and it just went dong. Oh, shoot. Can't do that.
Yeah, all the way to the
And the next one, I didn't pull the power at all, so it just wouldn't.
Never touched
I
down.
pulled in the flare and it just went up again. It's like, no, that's not it.
It was a smoother landing.
Well, yeah.
You just didn't touch the runway. Oh, well.
So I need to work on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I have no idea.
That was the end of ELTs.
ELTs. Okay.
And then, you can test your ELT 5 minutes in the first 5 minutes of every hour, but only for 3 whoops. That's the official ELT test time. Anything outside of that is, they're going to come looking for you.
I see. Well, that's what they say, right?
Yep.
But apparently Adam's one of those guys that comes looking for you.
Yes.
So if you need something from Adam, you just set
activate
your
your
ELT off and
ELT.
sit back and wait.
Although you have to be in the Bay Area. I don't know if you can do it from any.
So if I do it from London, he's not going to come.
Probably not.
Adam, you're so lazy.
Let's see. This is from Brett in Ohio, and he said, "You're probably getting this from many folks, but I figured I'd send it anyway." And I'm hearing.
Sorry, that was me.
Hearing from the past, or maybe the future. I don't think I've even looked at this article here. The headline is from the Conservative Tribune. Unidentified plane circled U.S. city for 2 weeks. Governor silent, or government silent. I'm not sure. Let's see. Step aside UFOs, a different type of unidentified flying object, has puzzled aviation experts over the last several days and has been circling over one of the largest cities in the United States. A mysterious aircraft has been drilling holes in the sky over Seattle for close to 2 weeks. While the plane is almost certainly military in origin, the Department of Defense has been almost completely silent about its purpose or mission. Well, you know what it's got to be. It's got to be chemtrails.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
According to The Drive, the transport aircraft is a uniform gray with no markings except for its cryptic tail number. Observers in the Seattle area have repeatedly spotted and reported the plane in public airspace and believe that it is operating out of Boeing Field. Oh, you know what it also could be? Boeing is big in Seattle, right? Maybe that's like some kind of an Airbus spy plane.
Airbus spy plane. Absolutely.
Is that a picture of the plane in question?
No idea. What does it say here in this caption?
It's got to be.
Well, there's a picture of an airplane, a small transport.
It's like a Casa, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it. Not sure if that's actually the airplane or not.
A CN-235. It says that. I don't know what that is.
No, I don't know either. Though it seems indisputable that the aircraft is, or at least was, U.S. government property at one point based on its Air Force-style serial number, none of the obvious U.S. military organizations claim that they are aware of the CN-235 or its activities. Are you looking up CN-235?
Yeah, I am in the process.
And they say that was airborne for 2 weeks? continuously?
I
doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it
that.
too.
Yeah, maybe it's using some kind of special fuel.
It could be. I don't think I'm giving away any state secrets, but it could be just a listening thing. We have in London, based out of Northolt, there's a little Islander twin-engine aircraft that will spend all day just circling London, and it's got all kinds of mysterious UHF aerials and things hanging off it.
There's a picture here from FlightAware, which is purportedly this aircraft, and it's literally flying in circles all over the place, over the Olympian Peninsula.
You see that over New York sometimes too. You'll see a certain airplane literally just doing circles like that over New York City.
I mean, it could be survey, but it could also be, as I say, just a listening thing. It's kind of
aerial survey would be more like cornrows, farm rows, back and forth closely.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Not always.
Well, if you were looking for us to come up with the actual answer,
then it's chemtrails.
It's chemtrails.
Chemtrails. Yep.
That's the unanimous decision here. All right. Well, thanks, Brett. No, not. I think you were the only one that sent that in. So thank you for making us aware of that secretive spy plane flying over Seattle. Now, this is probably something I should wait until Dana is with us, but we're going to do it anyway. Breaking news. Well, it was when I sent this feedback. This is from Mariana. New England Patriots are first to buy team planes. Yes, planes. 2 airliners, Boeing 767s. At the least, one airline will be impacted by this move by the Patriots. I know which airline.
I do too.
Yeah.
That said football team didn't quite have their stuff ready, so for the preseason, so they came crawling back, asking for some help.
Well, we're getting the inside scoop. Is that why they ended up buying airplanes on their own?
No, they bought airplanes on their own, their own accord. They decided to, our craft decided to spend some of his money and wanted to put some big Super Bowl trophies on the tail of his airplanes, but they weren't quite ready. So there was a quickly they came crawling back to their former airline asking for some preseason charter help.
Yes, we're all familiar with the airline that was doing the charter work for, I think, most if not all the NFL teams.
A lot of the NFL. I mean, even still, charter business is kind of very good. I mean, if you get a good team and you have a really good relationship with those teams, and the Acme has that whole NBA thing where we have that very long-term contract where we operate their airplanes for them. But even just at the end of last NFL season, American literally dumped like 3 or 4 teams because they didn't have the airplane allocation anymore. Because when we run a charter, we're really just stealing its ground time it has normally. Like for the other day, we had a charter Baltimore, Green Bay back to Baltimore, and it was just using an overnight A320. And so that team actually had 2 airplanes. They had an Airbus, and they had one of the charter 75s. So they actually chartered 2 airplanes. But for the Airbus, it literally just used its normal ground time. So the airplane was back about 2 hours before its normal first flight. So otherwise, the airplane wouldn't have been sitting there just doing nothing, except now we just used it and made money off of it.
Excellent. So I don't know who are they just going to hire their own pilots, I guess, to fly this?
I have no clue how they're doing it. If they're going to do their own Part 121, Part 91 type thing, or if they're doing or if they've wet leased them to somebody, to operate them for them.
Mariana's quite a comedian. She said, from a fan's perspective, why didn't the Patriots use that money towards lowering ticket prices?
Because football also is a business.
How much is an average ticket price to see a big game?
That's a lot of money. I don't know. I haven't been to an NFL game in quite some time.
I think tickets start about $55, and that's for the upper deck, up corner.
Yeah, it's similar for
anything.
Soccer, as you call it, and the big teams in the UK. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't think any UK teams have their own planes.
I think they're the first NFL team. The Red Wings have their own airplane, and they share that with the Tigers. So they kind of share the airplane. There they used to have their own. I think they still have a 7-2, but they might have changed that.
Yeah.
We don't do sports teams where I work, but we have a lot of sports individuals, particularly golfers and tennis players.
Right.
It's quite nice to meet those guys. They're all very nice.
Yeah, you run into a lot of celebrities and sports and other celebrities, I guess, like movie stars.
Almost 100% of them are all down to earth, very nice people.
That's good to know.
Almost 100%.
Almost. it's always that 1%, right?
It's almost that 1%.
Let's see. She also said, did Boeing give them a better deal than offered by? She's wondering why they went with Boeing and not Airbus. And
my guess is they're used aircraft. I'm pretty sure they're probably not new.
Boeing 767 is old. You could probably pick them up for $20 each.
Yeah,
maybe
$50. Okay,
for two. Yeah, so it's the same thing. All right.
Maybe they got a BOGO. Buy one get one free.
Yeah,
a BOGO Boeing.
Now this is really interesting. Here, let me zoom in here because I don't know. Maybe Pip might know something about this. I don't really. But this was sent in by.
Oh, is this attitude indicators?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Russian ones are.
Yeah,
backwards.
They're weird.
They're exactly backwards.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is Jules. He says, "Hi, Captain Jeff and knowledgeable crew at APG." And he's, I guess, talking about you guys. This is Jules, this time providing some interesting feedback about two pilots who gained most of their initial flight hours in Russian-style airplanes. Both lost their airplanes and all on board, and in a flash, they impacted either terrain or water at high speed. The first was a Saab 340 and liner, and the other was a 737-300. Both were lost just after takeoff at night and lost visual reference. The 737 captain called for the autopilot on in an unusual attitude, like a lot of others, including a 747 that almost lost it over the Pacific. I think he's probably talking about that Air China years ago. In unusual situations, since when can autopilots get you out of a high G maneuver? Since never, unless it's an F-16. I think some of the systems in some of these fighter jets are capable of recovering airplanes in extremely unusual attitudes and G-forces and that kind of thing, but not in airliners. That, in fact, anytime you get into an upset and unusual asymmetric, or not asymmetric, but accelerative forces on an airliner or even a business jet, I think that one of the first things that happens is the autopilot goes, I'm turning off because I can't handle whatever it is that's going on right now.
Yeah.
That's why we have humans there, because we're supposed to know how to get out of a situation.
And why we spend so much time in the sim practicing unusual or upset recovery techniques, unusual
That would be the
attitudes.
last thing that I would think of, is throwing on the autopilot when you were like completely discombobulated.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe he was so out of it, he thought, this is the only chance I have, is to throw the autopilot on, and it didn't work. So anyway, he goes on. Coming from the Russian-style airplane with a Russian attitude Horizon, the pilots had many successful flights in their Western airplanes until their accident. So I do ask the question, why so many successful flights, and all of a sudden, on a random flight or a random night, their minds think back to the times that they flew Russian planes and just completely lose it on a Western-style attitude Horizon on a random flight? Perhaps a doctor could answer that. Whatever.
Dr.
Steph. Are you here?
Oh, no, we don't have a doctor. Sorry. Let's see below. So anyway, he goes on and he shows some graphics here about how attitude indicate. And I didn't know this. I didn't know that Russian airplane attitude indicators work in a different manner than everybody else's attitude indicators or artificial horizons in the world. And it looks like, the Western system, the aircraft symbol is fixed to the aircraft, and the horizon bar moves relative to the aircraft symbol. But on a Russian, or I don't know if they're all this way, but in some Russian airplanes, the horizon that is fixed to the, what does it say? Horizon bar is fixed to the aircraft, and the aircraft, what does it say? It's kind of fuzzy. Moves. Well, explain this.
Basically, it's a little opposite. I mean, on the U.S., it's the the airplane's fixed and the horizon moves, and on the Russians, the horizon is fixed and the airplane moves. So,
yeah, I think that's it in a nutshell.
It's basically it in a nutshell, but
it's just the exact opposite of what we are used to.
Right, but when you think about it, and you're like, why did they revert back? And you go to the rules of learning and primacy and all that. You have your primacy, where that state of learning is you usually remember what you learned first. The first way you learn to do something is how you usually are always going to remember or revert back to do it. And you said it at night. Okay, now you're possibly tired and you're mental. You might not be all there mentally, and so you just kind of go to what you're normally used to, and then that could be one of the causes there. I mean, you go back to that whole primacy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're under a little bit of stress to begin with, your brain just snaps back to that. It's almost like instinct. It's funny. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I did this very thing quite recently on the Hawker. After like 10 years on the Hawker, I did something. I forget what it was, but I did something, and it was totally the wrong thing. I was like, man, that's what I used to do on the beach 1900 10 years ago. Why am I doing that now? So it's weird. It just, it just comes from somewhere deep in that bit of the brain that is used for learning and storing processes. And
sometimes somebody will call out a checklist challenge, and I've been flying the same airplane for more than 15 years, and then sometimes I'll respond with a checklist response from the 727 that I haven't flown since the 1990s.
Yeah.
And I don't know, where did that come from? It's like, wow. It's still there, I guess, in our head full of mush.
That's it. But if someone asked you, the response to that particular checklist, you go, I don't know.
I don't know.
But then one day it just pops out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty common, I think. As I say, especially under a stressful situation, the mind has a tendency just to go back to the basics.
Yes.
Back to what it knew first.
He goes on, last but not least, another interesting item, talking about the Russians. When MH17, Malaysia Flight 17, was heading towards Ukraine, Putin's plane and the Malaysian Boeing intersected at the same point and the same echelon. That was close to Warsaw on 330M echelon. I don't even know what that means. At a height of 10,100 meters. The presidential jet was there at 16:21 Moscow time. The Malaysian aircraft at 15:44 Moscow time. So it was, what's that? A difference in time of about 40 minutes?
45 minutes. Yeah.
The contours of the aircraft are similar. Linear dimensions are also very similar. As for the coloring, at a quite remote distance, they are almost identical, I dare say. Very lucky that Putin's plane did not venture to the south. So I guess he's got some graphics here, the route of flight and all that kind of stuff. Is what he's saying here is that maybe the airplane that they thought they were firing missiles at and trying to take down was Putin's airplane?
Yeah, but if you go down, it looks like Putin's plane is coming up over.
Not even anywhere near Ukraine.
Not even near the Turkey or the Ukraine area. I don't know. That's still MH being shot down. Still hits very close to home for me, because I used to not bomb, but just used to
mystery solved.
Used to throw. We used to flight plan all of our airplanes to Dubai and to Mumbai, right over that airspace all the time, and literally, this guy changed his route to match what the Western carriers do and how they fly through that airspace. So.
Yeah, but this is nowhere near the Crimean region. Did we misunderstand the point of the email?
We may have. Here, I'm going to back it up, and you can look at it again, see if we missed something. Jules, we need your help.
MH17 was heading towards Ukraine. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe the graphics are a little bit different.
Yeah. But that's a long way
close to Warsaw. So I mean, so they're a little bit further apart from where MH17 was shot down over the Ukraine.
Yeah, scroll down to that map again.
Okay,
please.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in fact hundreds and hundreds of miles.
I guess what he's saying is it's a good thing that Putin's plane didn't go further south down.
Well, they knew better than to fly over that area.
yeah, they knew better.
Unfortunately, Malaysia and many other airlines didn't know better.
Yeah. We were regularly flying across it. I mean, we avoid it now, which is kind of a pain in the backside sometimes. But right up until the day of the event, we were flying right across that top.
Same thing.
That area.
We avoid it completely. There is no airspace that we can fly to between the Mediterranean Sea and China. It's all closed off for us. There's nowhere to go. If we need to go down that way, we have to go over Saudi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the 2 FIRs around Crimea.
Yeah, but
that are closed. It's a
Acme
pretty big bit of airspace.
Acme as a company has decided to just completely shut it all down.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, safety first, right? I guess. So I'm going to do something here.
Hey.
I'm going to go over to. There's Miss Maria Sophia. Hi.
I think you're supposed to be taking a nap, but you're not. Do you want to go in the lake?
Throw her in. Throw her
Do you
in.
want to go splish splash? Go by mommy. Go get splish splash.
All right. So let me do at least one more here. I think that would be interesting to talk about, and I made an adjustment so that everybody could hear this on the tubes. Let's see. I'll do the video. This is from. Well, he's going to tell us.
Hello, APG crew. It's Robert out here in Seattle. We are headed out on a cruise tomorrow and thought I would say hello in front of this Trans-Canada Connie out in front of the Boeing Seattle Flight Museum. Quite a lot to see. I'm going to share a bunch of pictures out here as well. And out here at Boeing Field, they've got a lot of planes that are about to be delivered. Can't quite see it from the museum, but you can see a bit of that from the I-5 pulling in from the interstate there. But the rain is kind of rolling in. This was typical for Seattle, but having a great time. Looking forward to cruising up into Alaska today with Mom and the other half. So thanks for all the nice podcast and safe travels. Thanks.
Okay, that was APG community member Robert, and he lives in Marietta. He joined us at the
baseball
game when Glenn was with us. What was that? Just not too long ago, about
a month ago.
Yeah. And he also included a bunch of photos. I'll put a link to his Google Drive where you can see some of the photos that he snapped in Seattle. So thank you, Robert, for it. And that was video, by the way, and which is also in that folder. So if you want to actually see Robert doing that video there, we just played the audio from it. But
that's an amazing museum.
I've not been.
We went in November with my parents. We were picking up a new Boeing jet to bring it home. Got to ride on a new one on a delivery flight. And so we got there, I think we got there about 10, 11 in the morning, and we left at closing time, and we still didn't see anything. It's just, it goes through the history of Boeing, and then it has across the street, it's on 2 sides of the street. I think they have 3 buildings there for the museum. They have space stuff, they have original stuff, they have fighter jet stuff, and then they have the first 747 in there, and one of the first, and the 787 is sitting in there. One of the, I think it's serial number 3 is in the museum. They can't use them. They had to retire them because the testing that they did on them. So, but no, it's a really, really, really cool museum. And if you're ever in Seattle, give yourself a whole day to go through it. There's a lot to go through.
Okay. Have you been there?
I have not. No, I went to the one in Dayton about 20 years ago in 1998. But no, I've not been to the others. I'd like to go.
All right.
Oh, that LA Speed story, the one down.
I don't know if is that the one where
the SR-71 pilot?
Yeah. Oh, here, should I play the YouTube video?
You totally should. This is great.
It's quite a long video.
No, you didn't hear, do you? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to tell you the story because you'll see this on the internet. People ask, was it ever fun to fly the jet? And I told this story one time in Seattle 25 years ago.
Okay, this is Major Brian Schul, U.S. Air Force retired SR-71 Blackbird pilot, and he is talking about a story entitled on the YouTube video Speed Check.
And it became, this urban legend or something. It's all true. One day, Walter and I are doing a little training mission around the United States where you take off out of Sacramento, hit a tanker in Idaho, rip on up to Montana, zip across Denver, hang a right turn in Albuquerque, rip out over LA, up to Seattle, back into Sacramento, 2 hours, 21 minutes. You do it backwards. You're just gaining time and experience with your backseater. You're just learning how to work together. Building hours. But we're on our last training mission. We've made the turn into Albuquerque. We're over Tucson. I can see downtown LA from Tucson. I can see the whole western United States bathed in a warm glow of a fall afternoon. 6 in the evening, radios are silent, the air is smooth, not a gauge moving in my cockpit. It is perfect. I can see the whole chain of the Rocky Mountains from Canada to New Mexico, and I'm seeing all this scene, and it's all perfect. And I'm thinking, way bad. And I feel sorry for Walter because he has to monitor 5 radios in the back seat. So I flipped the switch up, and those of you that fly know that what I'm about to say is true, that centers that control all the traffic, when you fly on United or Delta, and all the centers are controlling you. Albuquerque Center, LA Center, Seattle Center, Cleveland Center, Jacksonville Center. It all sounds like the same guy because they all talk really cool. They want to make you feel cool as a pilot. So they don't just talk normal. And I swear it's the same guy, but we kind of like it. So whenever you ask them a question, you're going to get talked to like you're somebody important. Those of you that fly Cessnas all know that, hey, that sounds cool. Well, we flip up the switch, and sure enough, this is in the pre-GPS days. People always want to know their ground speed because they get lost, and they got to get their position. Who knows? There's always some Cessna guy. He's got to know his ground speed. LA Center, or Cessna November Alpha Tango, have you got a ground speed readout for us? Now, Center would like to say, hey, pal, who cares? Get our frequency. We got other things. But no, he's going to talk to him like he's Air Force One. Cessna November Alpha, we show you 90 knots, 90 knots on the ground. That's how they talk. I'm not making this up. Right after that, a twin Bonanza popped up to pimp the guy, I guess. Twin Beach, whatever, you got a ground speed readout for us, Center? Senator's probably thinking, God, it's Friday afternoon, why me, God, please go away. But no, he's going to talk to him like he's, a shuttle astronaut. Twin Beach, we show you 120, 0 knots on the ground. Right after that, a Navy F-18 out of Lemoore popped up on frequency. And you knew it was a Navy guy because he talked very cool on the radio. Center, Dusty 5-2 speed check. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Dusty 5-2 has a ground speed indicator in that $1 million F-18 cockpit. It's got it right there in the heads-up display. Got it right there. Why are we calling Center to broadcast our speed? Oh, I get it. We're just the meanest, baddest, fastest military jet in the valley today. We're taking our little Hornet jet over Mount Whitney and ripping across Death Valley, and we want everyone from Fresno to the coast to know what real speed is. And you can almost hear a little glee in the controller's voice, like just touch, like we've put an end to this. Dusty 5-2, we show you 620, 620, 0 knots across the ground. And it was that across the ground, see that was that little, we've had enough of this, I don't want to hear anybody else now. And there was silence on the radio. There wasn't an airliner from Seattle to San Diego that wanted to be next on frequency, just an etiquette thing. And a 12-year-old was reaching for the mic button. And I thought, oh no, Walter's in charge of the radios. No, it's the Navy. They must die. They must die now. I thought, no, but if I do that, I'll destroy all the training, and I want us to be a good crew. And at that moment, I heard a click of the mic button in the back seat. Ladies and gentlemen, Walter and I became a crew at that moment. In his very best innocent Cessna voice, Walter, LA Center, Aspen 30, have you got a ground speed readout for us? You could almost hear a collective gasp on freak from everyone, like, oh, the poor fools, I didn't hear the previous transmissions. And Center had to give you that same voice. Aspen 30, we show you 1,942 knots across the ground. It was like a little glee in his voice. And I knew I was going to like Walter for the next 4 years is when he came back and said, Senator, we're showing a little closer to 2,000. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know we never heard another transmission all the way to the coast. So for just a moment, it indeed was fun flying the jet. Most of the missions were highly serious, fatiguing, dangerous, scary, and very rewarding for what we were able to do. Berlin Wall came down on our watch. Gaddafi was silenced on our watch. We saw the Soviets flail. Reagan knew how to use this airplane and used it well. We were proud to do it.
All right, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, there's a video going around Facebook too where someone took his audio and put photos to it too, like a little Cessna, and then the air traffic control scenes from Close Encounters of the Third Time. Those photos are in there. It's just really done. But every time I listen to that story or hear about it, or see it come across a feed or something, I have to listen to it because it's A, it's true, and B, it's very, very funny.
It really is. We've all heard that story a lot of times, but I'll hear it again and laugh. And
always great
it's
to
a
hear.
great story.
Hey, anybody in the chat room have a question for us before we wrap this thing up? I know we've been at it for about an hour, a little bit more, so we don't want to take up all your time today, and I know that I don't want to take up your time, especially Pip, because I'm sure you want to get back in the water before you head out today.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Do a couple of half watermelons into the lake.
I'm going to practice. I'm not sure I could
pull
it off like Steph. But
never seen a watermelon dive before until yesterday.
I wish I'd videoed that.
Yeah, it was quite something, especially my viewpoint.
I bet it was. I've never seen Jeff's eyes so wide. He was like, whoa.
I've never seen anybody dive like that before. It was
basically it's a upside down cannonball. I mean,
it's a head first cannonball.
Yeah, head first cannonball.
It was something to see, that's for sure. Let's see. Anybody want to ask us something before we end this thing? No. Sir.
She's been listening.
She's listening to us. Uh-oh.
It was very graceful.
HR's back in the
house. Let's see. Anyone around in IAD? Oh, yeah, that's right. Nev's going to be in the Dulles area, Fairfield, Fairfax? Fairfax, Virginia, on the 12th or 13th of September for a meetup. I was hoping to bid a trip with a layover there, but I didn't get that trip, Nev. So I'm still trying to work things behind the scenes, see if I can get up there for that. But yeah, so anybody out there listening to our voices, if you are going to be in the Dulles, Fairfax, Virginia area on the 12th or 13th of September, contact us and we'll put you in touch with Nev. Of course, you probably already know how to get in touch with Nev on your own, but whatever. How do you calculate a rotate speed when doing touch and goes?
Really, Tony, that's your question. As we're about to wrap it up, that's your question.
On the Beach Musketeer or Cessna 172, it's the same speed. Really, it's the same rotation speed. The only thing you're missing is you don't have to sit there and wait to get to the same speed. So for at least on me, on my airplane, the approach speed and the takeoff speed's pretty much the same. So I mean, you hit the ground, you maybe on my airplane, you hit the ground, you lower the flaps right away, you make sure your mixture and the throttle, mixture and the boost pump are still on, and then just pop the throttle back in and away we go.
Don't do it very often on the Hawker, but I guess we would still have our VREF speed displayed on the speed tape. So something close to that.
Last time I did a touch and go in an airliner was when I was checking out as a co-pilot on the 727 back in 1990 or 91. I have no idea. And I was just a student, trying to learn how to fly the airplane. So I'm not sure at all how because the line check airman, once we touched down, took control of the airplane and then flew it back up.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Tony? I might be doing some touch and goes in the new jet in a few months. So I'm going to ask the question of the line training captain and we'll find an answer. Do you call V1? I don't think so.
Yeah.
On a touch and go. No, I don't.
I wouldn't think so because you're already
well past it.
Yeah. I know the beautiful A350 just did a series of touch and goes this past week in Cincinnati for pilot training. And it's a strange sight to see a wide body jet doing a touch and go. And because on an airliner, the configuration is so different. I mean, for me on the beach, it's literally, you've seen it before, Jeff. The flaps are literally just a handle in between the seats. You just press the button, let them fall, flaps come up, and away you go. But I mean, you're going from flaps 4 to probably flaps 1 or 2 in the A350, and then you're still moving down the runway at that time. So the fact that you said the line check guy took over and then took back off, maybe you are taking off at a higher than normal flap setting?
Yeah. I don't know. We were using flaps 30 on the 7.2, which is the standard flap setting. I'm not sure if he readjusted the flaps to like flaps 15, I think, which was the standard flap setting for the 727 while we were rolling down the runway. I do know that we didn't have to worry about auto spoilers because we didn't have them on the 727. But I'm thinking now on a modern airplane, almost all airplanes now have auto spoiler systems, auto speed brakes. That's something that you would make sure that you did not arm,
right?
Because once those things come out, you don't
stopping.
do a touch and go.
Yeah, you're stopping.
Yeah,
So.
I remember doing the base check on the Hawker. The training captain had a little mini checklist on his knee. So you touch down, do all the stuff, and then put the flaps back and the speed brake back, and you quickly run through a checklist and give you a thumbs up, and then you shut
all
the
that
power
happening
and go
within
again.
like 5 to 10 seconds. Huh?
Yeah, even less. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Good question though. But basically the answer is, how do you calculate all that? I don't know.
We need Rick for that.
Yeah. Micah says, what day are you planning the regular APG for this week? I don't know. Either tomorrow or Thursday, probably.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
Probably one of those days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very high likelihood.
One of the days that ends in a Y.
Mm-hmm. I'm still actually trying to determine from all the co-hosts, when would be the optimum time for doing that. So we'll let you know as soon as we know. Probably give you about a 15-20 minute heads up time before we start.
Absolutely. Be on your toes.
Plenty of lead time.
get the push notifications. Download the APG app.
Absolutely.
Set an APG notification in Twitter, so every time they tweet, you get a notification.
That's right. So, hey, before we wrap it up, as I said, just an honor for me to have these great hosts of their own great aviation podcasts. Let's start with Pip. Tell us about your show and what you can expect to hear there and all that.
Well, it's called the Plane Safety Podcast. You can find it on the internet. Go to theinternet.com.
Theinternet.com.
Mm-hmm. Planesafetypodcast.com. I try and push one out once a month.
Well,
I think there's something.
That's what she said.
No, that wouldn't be appropriate. No, this would be appropriate, I think.
Once a month, regular as clockwork.
Wow. Just once a month. Okay.
And we talk about all sorts of things. You'll probably hear Captain Al on there as well, making a noise, something like this.
Gonads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
Okay.
It's normally what Captain Al says.
Yes, that is much more appropriate. That's for sure.
So there'll be another episode out at some point in the near future. So please do listen.
It's an awesome show. And how long have you been doing it now?
I don't know.
Several years.
Yeah, 3 years at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not many episodes. I think we're only up to 40. I forget. 40.
Yeah, but you guys go
or something.
You go into so much depth, and it's a topic-driven show. If this were a topic-driven show, I would have quit years ago because it would have been
10.
way too much work. Yeah. But anyway, excellent show. If you don't already listen to and subscribe to Pip's wonderful show, please do. And again, we'll put the link to how you can do that in the show notes.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
And of course, Mike, Flying and Life podcast, another excellent aviation show. And this guy is what did Dave say? You're a podcasting maniac or a podcasting monster or something like that?
Yeah, podcasting maniac. Flyingandlife.com, Twitter at flyingandlife. Normal shows are just basically about that, some sort of flying and then some sort of kind of catch up on the life. So it's kind of like a 2-part show. And then I go to these weird things called air shows like Sun and Fun in Oshkosh. They give me a media pass, so I get in for free. So I figure I have to do work. So I do work and usually do a nightly podcast after that show. So those are fun to do. Go around getting interviews for people, seeing the show, seeing air shows. That's really fun. But but no, that's basically the gist of the show.
How many did you do for Oshkosh? 5 total?
We did 5 total for Oshkosh.
4 right when you were there, and then 5.
Yep.
Number 5 was after you guys got home.
Yep. And number 5 was a couple of days later, a recap.
Yeah. Awesome. It's just if you can't make it to these great air shows, it's almost like being there, listening to Mike and his interviews and participants and other aviation enthusiasts as well.
And that's pretty much why I want to do it. I mean, I know not everyone can get to an Oshkosh. I know not everyone can get down to a Sun and Fun, but I kind of want to get bring the atmosphere and the flavor of what that show is to people. David Phil with the Airplane Owners podcast, he did that 1 year for Oshkosh. They're short 20-minute, just kind of recaps on what he did for the day. But I kind of like how I did it at Oshkosh, having a group of people, so we could all kind of talk about what we did and what everyone else got out of that part of the day, which was good. It was enjoyable.
You need to listen to those, especially if you want to learn about ice coolers made from a coffin.
Yeah.
Or casket or whatever you want to call it.
Casket beer, a casket full of beer.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. So anyway, Flying and Life, and you can find it at flyingandlife.com.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. And I guess we can wrap it up. If you want to watch and listen to the APG show, head over to the website, airlinepilotguy.com. And we're on social media at APG Crew. And we also have individual Twitter IDs. We have a Facebook page, Airline Pilot Guy. And let's see, I guess we should talk about Slack as well. Can you?
I think he's just finishing in the bathroom.
He's coming out.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on.
Come on, Will, let's go.
Make sure you wash your hands. All right, here he is. Come in. He needs to use this microphone here.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan meetups and events. To get into the Slack team, please send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @HI11E1, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel @HI11E1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you, Hillel, for joining us today. And now you can go back to wherever you were hiding.
Back to the suitcase.
I didn't even know he was here. We've been here for a couple days.
And I didn't even know he was here either.
Still in your suitcase. Forgot to take him out.
Anyway, so we had fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this extra show. And keep tuning in, subscribing to all of our shows. And until then, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care. God bless.
Bye, everyone.
See you, everyone.
Dun, 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 dun. All right.
Very nice.
Now it's time for us to take our little flying car down to the dock.
Down to the lake.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 kids probably drowning in there. We better go check on them.
Maria Sophia earlier, Naomi posted a picture on Facebook, wanted to go into the lake so badly. She was taking our pool bag and literally dragging it towards the door saying, go, go, go.
All right. Thank you, Nev. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. Andy, Liz, Tony. I'm going to miss somebody, I'm sure.
So James Bolt was asking what the new jet is.
What type of jet?
Yeah, it's I can't say it. It's the Embraer 505, also known as the Phenom 300, James.
It's a beautiful airplane.
Yeah.
I'm not ecstatic about it, James. Truth be told.
Yeah, Tom was asking as well. Yeah.
And that's in October. So if anyone's around in the well, I've not had it confirmed. I assume it's going to be Columbus. It could equally be CAE in Dallas. So I have to wait and see.
Oh, so you may not be in Columbus.
90% sure it'll be in Columbus, but they have sent some guys down to Dallas recently.
Okay.
Come to flight safety in Atlanta. Yeah. I don't know if they have your sets in there.
I don't think so.
Tom's new jet is an awesome machine. It's a Falcon 2000, I think.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's got that fancy synthetic vision thing.
Oh, the infrared.
Falcon Vision or whatever. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
The EX or the EZ, the Easy rather.
Don't remember the exact. Tom, if you're still there, give us the exact specification on your.
I've flown on a Falcon.
They bought a pair of them, I think.
Very nice airplane.
They had a. What was it? The 8X is the new one.
I think it's a 9X and an 8X.
Yeah, they had their newest one at Oshkosh.
Yeah,
quiet as all get out. You could barely hear it. And there was an airplane made to go into London City and fly halfway around the world. Is basically what their criteria was, and it was just absolute beautiful airplane.
Yeah, we had the 7X for a while. It was a great airplane as well. We didn't hold on to it very long, unfortunately.
Tom, don't you go anywhere until you tell us exactly what kind of airplane it is. I mean, what the actual model is on that 2000 something or other.
It's probably an EX, I'm guessing.
I think you're right. I think it was an EX. Thank you,
Super cool.
Steph. She says, "Have fun in the lake."
Will do. We're going to send you some
Pipers.
pictures of our dives.
See
Steph,
you,
you
Mike.
can create us.
And our splashes and our fails.
Main man Micah, Lane Street. Yes, Lane, perfect timing. We're leaving now. I guess Tom is just not going to answer us. Just going to be that way, huh? Okay. All right. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and shut this thing down. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.